and then go 3, 2, and 1. All right. We're ready. Let's see. Okay, now we're live. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
Sean, it's been like 2 weeks since we've done an episode, so I almost forgot how to break into this intro.
That's all right. Nobody actually cares.
No one cares. Exactly.
So
today we're doing no guest today. We're doing a random flight, as we like to call it, of persuasion.
Yep.
We got some topics we're going to be talking about, breaking down. We're going to be breaking down some sales copy for all of you copywriters out there. Anyone that likes to persuade with the written word, you want to stay tuned because we got some really good lessons for you on this show. And,
if you're listening, remember to bookmark this one so you can go find it on YouTube as well.
That's right.
Or Facebook or
because there's a visual element to this.
We'll read it, but there will be a visual as well, which might be helpful for you.
That is right. So before we jump into that, we got some. So we're going to talk about sales copy, probably a few other random.
Power of referral, like a up close and personal power of referral.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a Subway commercial going on right now that just gets under my skin, and I want to get your feedback on it because the ending of it just absolutely, I'm like, really? Like that doesn't feel like a good idea to me. Like it just first time I heard it, it just literally made me like cringe.
Yeah.
So we'll
cringeworthy.
Cringeworthy. Right. I thought I could be overreacting. I don't know. Just seemed off to me. But but before we do that, we got some beverages.
Yes. Got some brews to take care of. So I'll let you get us started with whatever you're having there, buddy.
All right. Well, it's been a crazy week here at the headquarters, the Austin headquarters, and I literally have barely been out of the house because working on a big launch.
You got your pink shirt on today. I mean,
I came out of a meeting, so I had to wear a collar. So here it is. It's more. It actually kind of goes with. I guess it is more pink and salmon-y kind of look.
Yep.
Yeah. So I haven't been to the store this week, so I pulled out a leftover beach beverage from being at the beach last week. So it's not really a brew. It is a twisted tea.
The
peach flavor.
Yes.
Right. So 5% alcohol. If you have not had these are like super good for stuff like the lake and beach because they're very light. And they're kind of like a Long Island iced tea is basically what they were after, created after the twisted teas. This one has a little bit of peach in it. This was a variety pack. I think it had peach, raspberry, half and half, and then straight tea. Half and half would be lemon. So like an Arnold Palmer or something.
Yeah.
So this I already had a couple of these, not today, but because at the beach. So I know what they taste like. So that's me.
Those are pretty good. So I haven't had the peach version, but we pick up some of those twisted teas on the weekend every now and then when we have some folks over to the house, and those are pretty good. So I know they go quick because people that are not like, we have family members, family and friends when they come over, the people you can always, when you pick up like a case of those, the people that aren't real beer drinkers always go for those, or like the Trulies or the White Claws. Like I don't.
We got some Trulies at the beach too, and I did not like them at all. I'm not the seltzer thing doesn't work for me, and everybody's going to it, and it just like does not.
Now there are two flavors. There are two Truly flavors that I do like. So one of them is like a blueberry. There's a blueberry and a raspberry that I like pretty well. But those are mostly not like, those are certain times you want to drink those. Like if it's like a refreshing beverage after you're, at the pool, when it's like 98 degrees outside, that's something that that's kind of a go-to beverage. It's not like
Sure.
kicking back and having a beer or anything like that. So
No, yeah,
time and place for everything.
exactly. You got a beverage pairing with whatever's going on, right? You got it's
exactly.
Not just, it's
The
situational
moment
pairing.
dictates. That's right.
Situational pairing. We'll call it that.
That's right. That's right.
There's a new coined phrase right there. All right. So what do you got on your side?
So I've got a new one from Left Hand Brewing Company. This is the Saint Vrain Triple. This is a
triple ale or triple.
This is a triple ale.
Yeah,
triple ale.
Very cool.
So it says this is. I was actually surprised by the. It's 9.3% ABV.
Those triples. Do we even know? Do we know what a triple is? Or you're going to tell us? Because there's also quadruple ales. So I wonder what makes. Anyway, go ahead and describe it while I look it up.
Okay, so I don't know if this is going to describe what a triple ale is, but it says, let's see, the usually tranquil Saint Vrain River flows out of the Rocky Mountains, and I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. So I got it, Saint Vrain. I think that's right. Out of the Rocky Mountains, winding peacefully alongside our brewery. But what at first appears benevolent can manifest into something fierce and mighty, named after the river that brought our hometown's great flood in 2013. Heck of a name for a beer named after a flood. Saint Vrain is designed to pay homage to the classic Belgium triples, while also adding uniquely local twist. So Colorado barley creates a subtle malt sweetness, and American hops bring rich herbal and floral aromatics. So I don't know. I didn't really give you any. It's the it's paying homage to the classic Belgian triples.
Right. So
which is
so a triple in Europe is anything with over 9% alcohol.
Okay.
Simple as that.
So this just beats it at 9.3.
Yeah. So I assume I haven't found my answer for quadruple.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume that would probably be over 12%.
Yeah.
So, good trivia right there. Good bar.
Only 18 IBUs. So it tells you what glass. It says you should drink this in a tulip glass. So I have the correct glass. I have my tulip glass here.
Very good.
And I have not. So I use the same glass usually every beer. So I'm usually in the wrong for a lot of beers. I'm sure, some of those stouts and porters probably don't belong there.
Yeah. So there's also a Belgian quadruple. And it says 9.1 to 14.2% according to Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of, they need to get their facts straight here on where the line is. So anyway, seems to be just basically a strong beer.
Strong beer. Over 9%. We'll just accept it.
Yeah. So, all right.
Doesn't look very strong, right? I mean, you're looking at it. Oh, look at the koozie there.
Oh yeah, broke out I had a Buc-ee's koozie earlier on my desk because we stopped. We literally. Well, we can talk about that in the marketing. We'll talk about that there too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers to your.
Cheers.
Triple.
All right. Did you even see that?
Yeah. So mine's a can. It shouldn't make that noise anyway.
Oh.
That's the thing. A twisted tea does not even deserve a glass. Like it's just pointless. You just
that's good.
Or you put it in a Yeti. That works too. All right. Yeah, I've had a couple of those triples and quads, and they're usually pretty good.
This is really good. I'm trying to think for a second, like how.
Like it's so good that, for those of you not watching on video. It's so good he had to sit back in his chair and like ponder the goodness of it. That's how good it was. Or is.
Man, that's really good. I mean, man, for an ale, boy, you can taste too. I mean, you can taste the fact that is a higher, ABV. I mean, you can
buzzing already.
Yeah, I mean, it's not light, but it's
You feel it going down?
it's good taste, good aftertaste. I would give this a 4. Man, I'm gonna give this like a 4 4 5. 4 4. Yep.
4.4. Okay. I thought it was going to get higher than that the way you said that, but all right.
No, I mean it's an ale, but it's really good. I like it.
Yeah, I think this is also really good. Of the flavors I've had, this is my favorite so far. The peach, like it doesn't even taste like alcohol. It's just like smooth. And I'll give it a solid. I'll give it a 4.25 just because it's easy drinking and there's nothing offensive about it. Just goes down smooth. So
I'm gonna have to see if I can find the peach because I love a good peach. Like that's my when I go to like I don't know if you ever go to McAllister's. That's like my go-to. I'll get the peach flavoring in an unsweet tea. So I get their unsweet tea with the peach. Man, it is good.
Unsweet tea. What is that? I saw a
meme. The reason I do that, normally I get like, I'll probably get half and half at least.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people put too much sweetener in there, but I'll always go with unsweet at McAllister's and then add the peach in because the peach is already sweet. So you don't want to double sweeten it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
That's okay then. Yeah.
Yep. That's acceptable.
I saw a meme on like a Texas Instagram profile and it said, "Hello, poison control. I just drank unsweet tea."
That's good. That's so appropriate.
I was like, yes, I know that feeling 100%.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get into it. All right. Let's jump. So I was going through some stuff. I'm training a couple copywriters right now. So I've been drip feeding them some different things that I've collected over the years. And one of the things I came across in my Google Drive, which I don't know about you, but like, I don't know how to find stuff in Google Drive. Like it's stuff shows up in there that I don't even know where it comes from. Like there's all kinds of stuff in there. But anyway, I stumbled across this breakdown of a sales letter I'd done not too long ago. And this is something I was taught at the first place that I ever wrote copy, which ironically is also where this is from, probably why it reminded me of it. So this is from Stansberry Research when I used to write there. And one of the first things we learned how to do was to take a good piece of copy and then kind of annotate it, just kind of see if we could create our own template for what they were doing. And so there's basically 3 steps to the process. And I'm going to share that today. Do you want to pull it up while I talk about it, or you want me to share?
Yeah, let me pull that up here. Share screen. By the way, we talk about Google Drive. That's our modern day version of the file folder, the file cabinet where we put all of our...
I still have 2 file cabinets full of stuff. One of them is just nothing but like old copy swipes that I used when you had to catch them. Because still to this day, some of the best copy swipes are not digital. You get them in the mail.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you're not on those lists, then there's no other way to get them. So, all right, very cool.
All right,
you're in the.
You see that?
Yeah, it's in a weird.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It's
all right. Can you, if you go up in the upper left corner, can you zoom in to maybe a little bit bigger, like 120 there? Yeah, like that.
Oh, there we go. How about that?
Yeah. All right. So the first thing you do is when you find a piece of copy that just kind of gets your attention, or it's worked because you've seen it quite a few times. You could do this with an ad. You could do this with, a sales letter. You could do this with a space ad. You could do it with just about any piece of sales copy or any type of copy, really. So the first thing I do is I usually just this is a long form sales letter. So this thing's probably 20, 25 pages. So really all I took was the lead, the headline and the lead, not even the headline. I think this actually might've been, it was a video, and I clicked out of the video to find the text because the video was so good. I was like, oh, I got to get that text to see what's going on. So I popped out, got the text. So I don't remember what the headline was. So you basically take this, and I'll go ahead and read it. Dear fellow American, do you ever feel, despite the supposed economic recovery of recent years, that something in America is still not quite right? If so, you're not alone. After all, how can things be okay when nearly half the men ages 18 to 34 now live with their parents at the highest level since the Great Depression? How can it be normal when one of America's richest cities, Seattle, there are now 400 unauthorized homeless camps under bridges and along freeway medians? How can it be a recovery when 78% of the U.S. population now lives paycheck to paycheck with essentially zero savings? How can you explain things like the dramatic rise of the militant left-wing group Antifa, the resurgence of white supremacists, and the booming popularity of the Democratic Socialists? They've doubled membership in recent months. Sure, some people, CEOs, tech entrepreneurs, and other members of the 1% are doing great. There's never been a better time for wealthy Americans. But the truth is, for most people, the situation is getting worse, much worse. Today, I want to share a few facts our politicians are afraid to tell you, including the secret reason why working class Americans have gotten dramatically poorer over the last 40 years. I've never seen this information published anywhere else. It's a secret that explains why the rich are really getting so much richer while everyone else is falling behind. Once you understand the secret, you'll see why for millions of Americans, a crisis is coming. I'm talking about a political event unlike anything we've seen in our country in nearly 50 years. It will reset the financial system in ways most Americans can't imagine. And for most, it will be a national nightmare. This secret I'm going to share with you protects the very rich and powerful, so they'll never reveal it, but I'm going to explain it as clearly and as simply as possible right now. So that would be what we call the lead, and then he would go into the actual sales letter.
Right. So
what you do then, you take that and you start to break that down paragraph, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph at least, but almost sentence by sentence. Mm-hmm. So we won't go through the whole thing, but this is step 2. So for instance, where it says, Dear fellow American. So what's going on with that? Just those 3 words. Well, you're calling out to the conservative, a person who identifies as an American, probably a Midwest values, patriot. And by fellow, you're saying to the reader that you are one of them. So there's a lot going on just in that one sentence. Yeah. And historically, the new financial newsletter market, which is who this is kind of written to, is older. We used to call them grumpy old white men. That was our avatar. Yeah. 60 plus. A lot of times, I think that number's come down probably to 50, 55 plus. Right. But it's pretty much 60 plus. White males is who they tend to write to. And there's obviously a lot more, but that's 85% of the list. Mm-hmm. So the next sentence, do you ever feel, despite the supposed economic recovery of recent years, that something in America is still not quite right? So this piece here does 2 things. One, it enters the conversation going on their heads with a question no one else in the world is asking, but they believe, which is this supposed recovery. They feel that something's not quite right. Like that's kind of the gut feeling they have. So when you put words to it, they're like, yes, that is how I feel. Yeah. The other thing is it raises doubts or kind of a wake up alarm without saying things are terrible. It's more of a question.
Yeah. Right. It's a questioning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, do you ever feel this way? Mm-hmm. Maybe something's not quite right. So it's hard you don't ever want to answer like a question that doesn't that gives a easy no, because that can be a stopper. So when you kind of couch it with not quite right, like that's pretty hard to say no to, right? Because everybody, I think, has a little bit of things aren't quite right, especially right now,
Well, so especially when you couch it as, do you ever? I think that's important. Do you ever feel? Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people they might not, feel that way on a regular basis, but at some point, I think we've all felt that way, despite a recovery, something feels a little off, with where we are today. So
gas prices are rising. Yeah. Food's getting more expensive. This does feel a little bit off. Yeah. I do feel that way sometimes. Right. Yep. Yeah. Cause that's a good point. You're not asking if they always feel like this. Because a lot of people that read these also have a little bit of money saved away.
Sure.
So they're not totally stressed, but at the same time, They're not comfortable.
Right.
So then the next line of the letter is, if so, you're not alone. Pretty clear what
Yep.
that's going on. It's relief. Somewhere else, someone else out there sees what's going on. You know, it gives them a chance to say, okay, cool. I knew it.
Yep.
And then we get into this series of 3 pieces of proof. So this is what we would call a little triad. It's going to be 3 big statistical type things. So this is kind of a logic train, a little triad, starts to get a little bit of a rhythm to it. All those things are happening. So the first statement was, after all, how can things be okay when nearly half the men ages 18 to 34 now live with their parents, the highest level since the Great Depression? So there's a lot going on in this sentence.
Sure.
It's kind of like a reasonable doubt type statement. It reminds them of kids they've heard about, grandkids maybe of their own that are moving back home. There's a little pop of fear with this idea of since the Great Depression, because now you're recalling that for them and what they've heard about that.
Right.
And then it calls out to the reader because for the most part, this demographic would never have moved home in their 18 to 34 range, right? Yep. Like once they're gone, they're gone. This is a very independent group that they're writing to. So they can't possibly imagine themselves in that age group having to move home. So something must be wrong if that group, that age, when you're just getting started, would have to move back home.
Right.
Right. So that kind of adds to that. Yeah, something must be wrong. And then the next sentence, the number 2 was, how can it be normal when one of America's richest cities, Seattle, there are now over 400 unauthorized homeless camps under bridges and along freeways? So this is, again, more doubt, more proof, more something must be off. And Seattle made the news. It was, you saw, Seattle and Portland and all the stuff that went on with that during the riots.
Oh, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So that would be easy for them to believe, even if they haven't been to Seattle or really heard about Seattle. It's happening right now in Austin. I mean, there's all over the place. We've got homeless camps that popped up in the last year. And then the third one was, how can it, I guess there was actually 4. So third one is, how can it be a recovery when 78% of the U.S. population now lives paycheck to paycheck with essentially zero savings?
Right.
So again, 78% is very specific. It's a statistic. So it feels like real information that they're reading. So they feel a little bit also like they're getting educated. Right. Now they've got some, I always said, like, if they can take a fact, one of these facts from the sales letter, to Hardee's for breakfast the next morning with their buddies.
Yeah.
And they can spit it out. It makes them feel important and knowledgeable. Then, you've got some good stuff going on. But this agitates. It kind of brings up the pain you brought up in the first sentence.
Yep.
And again, we're tapping 3 times in a row these stats. And then the next one is, how can you explain the things? It's just this. And the way they do it with this, how can you explain? How can it be? They're not saying it outright. They're kind of questioning it, right? So they're questioning with you. It's almost like they're on your side and helping you kind of figure this out. And it almost even feels like, maybe can you, the reader, help me understand this?
Right.
Kind of put you on the same side. And then you get into this. Sure, some people, CEOs, tech entrepreneurs, other 1% are doing well. So that's kind of that's where they start to answer the, yeah, but in case those people are doing well, maybe they didn't get with those people. So you kind of take the other side, right? And so if there's any, yeah, but I'm doing okay, or yeah, but what about all these people that are making money? You kind of throw that in there and why it's actually going to get worse.
Yeah.
So basically you just keep going through the letter, doing those things. And you just think about, like, what's going on with this sentence? How would I kind of paraphrase what they're doing? Not paraphrase the copy, paraphrase the point of the copy, right? So then if you'll scroll on down to the third step, which will be keep going. I don't know if it's on this one. I think I gave you the right, keep going. It should be a whole new section. Yeah, right there. Under the highlight.
Yeah. So
then what you do is you take all of your commentary and you pull out all the original text. So now you have a template that you can use. So for instance, if we read this now, it's like the greeting, calling out to a conservative person who identifies as an American, Midwest patriot. So what you would do is then you would start a new document that's like, okay, how do I get my greeting to call out to my person?
Yeah.
All right. So you write that. Then you say, okay, paragraph 1, what they did is they questioned, they had a question at the opening. It enters the conversation in their heads, raises some doubts. It's a gentle wake up alarm. Okay. So how do I do that? You go over and you write your own question. Then you go to the next one, acknowledge the reader's likely agreement and pain. Reader feels some relief. So you give them some, and basically you just take this template that you created and then you start writing your letter out to the side of it. Okay. So it's a pretty cool way to, instead of taking a swipe file and just trying to rewrite the copy, you get the essence of why that was written down, and then you rewrite from there.
Sure.
And you'll come out with a much more original copy than you would if you were trying to just, a lot of the templates you see for copy are like fill in the blanks. And those don't really work that well. Because if you don't understand why it was written down, the original, and it's not in context, it can be hard to duplicate the success of that kind of stuff. So this is just a way to create your own templates.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like we talk about, it's always about entering that conversation that's going on inside the minds of all of your prospects. So obviously, this isn't going out to everybody. This is going out to a select group of people who lean, a certain way, right? I mean, obviously they're investors. They're people that are, looking to, better their financial portfolio. And, they have questions about the world around them right now. Like, what's going on? Inflation, prices are going sky high, gas is up tremendously, cost of materials, the Fed's pumping money. So they're thinking, okay, I'm not doing terrible, but when I look around me, things don't look that great.
So he talks a little bit about, you kind of spin it and you're like, well, I'm going to tell you the secret. So you do have to reveal the secret in there, and that kind of stuff to kind of keep them going, because you don't want it to be all negative. So you have this negative slant, but there's always got to be that little bit of hope.
Absolutely.
To keep them reading. Otherwise, it's just a depressing letter.
Right.
So there's got to be the hope sprinkled in with kind of the doom. And a lot of people miss that. They go with a fear type angle and they forget to weave in a little bit of hope. And you see that they do it great in financial. It's always like the world is coming to an end, but here's how you profit.
Yeah.
That's basically all the financial newsletters have in common. It's like Dow's going to sink, 50%, and here's how to profit. So, or it's a discovery where it's just pure greed. But if it's ever fear based, there's always an angle to profit from the fear and whatever's about to happen.
Right.
So that's it. Yeah.
There's always a secret, like
always a secret. Secret just never stops working. It's just one of those words that, because there's so many secrets out there that people just assume that it's probably not something they don't, there's got to be something out there they don't know. It helps them rationalize any failures they have, that there was a secret they didn't know about.
Sure.
Yeah. So we've talked about that before too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to where we're going to, you were going to talk, you mentioned right before we got on the air, had the Inception screen going on there. You talked about the power. We kind of mentioned the power referral because you made a purchase last week because of something I said on the previous show.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the last episode, Sean talked about one of the, a new tool that he uses, Remarkable, the Remarkable tablet.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't know about this until just us talking about this on the last episode, on the previous episode that we had, where he was talking about this new remarkable tablet where you can, jot your notes down. And
because we all need another electronic device, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got an iPad, what else do you need, right? I mean, because
Right.
there's your laptop, there's your
Pencil, yeah.
pencil, everything. If you've got the Apple Pencil and everything, but one of the things that we talked about on the last episode that you mentioned was that it's not that great for note taking because it's like it's got the slick screen. It's not.
Yeah.
The pencil's not as intuitive as you would like.
It's pinging notifications all the time.
That's right. That's right. And there's so many distractions. So we talked about a distraction-free environment or a distraction-free advice. What is the word?
I don't know.
Device.
Yeah.
Device. Distraction-free device that you can use without getting all the pings and notifications and, social media apps that are constantly hitting you, with alerts and all of that stuff. Yeah. So you were talking to me about just the fact that you can utilize this tool to you can write copy or write notes out there, and then it literally transcribes that into, text, readable text that you can, you've got this option that you can send that over. It'll transcribe it and then you can send it over, which I thought, man, that is cool because, I was talking about another device I was using, the tool. What is it? I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. The writing tool.
Oh, the typewriter looking thing.
Yeah, the typewriter thing, which is also a distraction-free environment.
Yeah.
But you actually have to type it out where this is kind of nice in the fact that you can kind of just write it out, sketch it out. And I've got I don't have the greatest handwriting in the world, but something like that where you can sketch out some quick sales copy or some quick ideas, have those transcribed by just a real, a fast click on this thing. And it transcribes it, and then you just send it over into a text file. That's really cool. So I actually ended up ordering one based off of your recommendation. Just the power of that, in and of itself, you talking about it, that was the one feature that hooked me that said, you know what, I've got to try this. So I actually ordered it just to try it out. And man, I have been hooked. I've had this thing for the last week. So I ordered this Remarkable, obviously with the stylus.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to get the newest of the two stylus, the one with the eraser.
Yep. It's the one I got. It's got the eraser, so you can actually flip it around just like a pencil, a real pencil. Yep. Erase your text and rewrite.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I've done like journaling with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've done if taking notes. I had to give a presentation last week, and I just sat down, we were at the beach. So I went out on the balcony, sat in the chair, ocean, with just this device, undisturbed, no notifications coming in, left my phone inside. And I was able to sketch out like the presentation that I was going to do in probably an hour. I got the whole thing sketched out without interruption and just had it right there in the folder. But what's cool about it is I've got you can set up files. So I've got my journal in one. I've got, different companies that I'm working with. So if I come up with an idea, I can just grab this and write it down. So, and then like you said, if I just want to, if I had wanted to text or basically send that outline to the host of the training I was doing, I could have just sent them the outline so they kind of knew where I was going. They didn't ask for that, but they could have. And the other thing is you can get browser extension and you can send articles to it. So it's more like because it's got the kind of the ink screen, the gray ink screen, like a Kindle. So you can send articles.
Yes.
And then read them.
And PDFs, like white papers, like PDFs. I know we've talked about, I actually sent the one that we discussed a couple of episodes back on the one where we talked about hypnotic selling that you sent. That was really good. So I actually uploaded that to the Remarkable app. The user face, uploaded it into the document section, and now I've got it on my Remarkable.
And you can mark it up. And then you can mark it up
underline it, make notations.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a pretty fun device. And I just like it because I have 2 rocking chairs on my front porch, and I can literally go out in the morning with my coffee and just sit out there, leave the phone inside,
Yep.
and just journal or brainstorm some stuff, or whatever. Or if I just feel like I've been overwhelmed and I still got some work to do, there you go. Just scribbled that down real quick.
So okay, here we go.
And it's got like 5 different pins.
Convert to text. So it's kind of thinking, and there you go. So that's what I had written out. Persuasion by the Pint, Jonathan Taylor and Sean McCool. There you go.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I have not had to adjust my handwriting at all.
No, neither have I.
And my handwriting is not great. It's not awful, but it's not great either.
And it's got templates too. If you're terrible, you got the blank screen, but then you can throw up like it's got so many templates. You got the lines.
Yeah, you
got the grid, which is really good. I don't know.
And it has planner type stuff too that you can. So you can have a different folder set up with the planner. So you can have different backgrounds on every file that you're using.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's pretty. But other than that, it doesn't do anything. So like it's, and I think we're going this way more and more. It's like, you have specific devices for specific things.
Yeah.
It's like the Aura Ring. All it really does is track your sleep and your basic heart rate and stuff like that. That's all it does.
Yeah.
Wearables are going that way. And I think devices are going that way too. But it's really cool. I think it really helps with creativity.
I do too.
Get you out.
I think what's helpful with this over just writing in general, just typing things out, is that sometimes you want to you think better in a minimalist environment, whereas like you said, there's not many distractions, but also when you can just sit and just think and like read something and then jot down some notes and scribble some notes, and then you can save those notes or save a lot of the stuff that you've written, have it transcribed and utilize that. And then you talked about when we previously talked, I guess last episode, how many of us have like legal pads and notebooks all around us with like in different places that we have, jotted down things. And we're like, I wrote it down in either this notepad or this journal, but I can't figure out which place. And
or it's, you've got a legal pad for X.
Yeah.
But on the 4th page of that legal pad, you wrote about Y. Right. Because it was the closest legal pad.
Yep.
This, you can open up the appropriate folders or even just do a quick note and then move it where you need it. But the other thing I think is pretty cool is if you do in-person meetings, you can take this to the meeting. If you're sitting at a table or whatever, you can take notes on this instead of having a laptop where that screen is now between you and the person, because the way it's full and you're looking over the screen. They don't know if you're typing emails or Facebook or if you're taking notes, right? There's always that. Even if you tell the person, hey, I'm taking notes, or if they tell you, hey, I'm taking notes, you're still kind of wondering, right? Especially if it's a longer meeting.
Right.
You're like, are they really taking notes? Are they, what are they doing over there?
Exactly.
Where this, it's pretty obvious. So I think it's good from just like a relationship standpoint too. If you're in a meeting at a table, I feel like the other person's going to feel like you're listening more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than if you have a computer in front of you. Because if you've got your computer in front of you, something's going to come up to distract you.
Yeah.
You can pause notifications and stuff like that, but chances are something's going to flash or blink or ding or whatever.
Right.
So this avoids all of that.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, last thing I wanted to cover is there's this Subway ad going on right now, Subway sandwiches, and it goes all the way through it's a typical Subway sandwich ad. But then at the end, like, there's one sports celebrity, I can't remember who it is, but he is right at the end. Tom Brady comes in and like interrupts him and like takes over the commercial, basically.
Sure.
And then it does a little more things. And at the end, it's like the guy's like to Tom Brady's like, "Do you even eat bread?" And Tom Brady's like, "It's just a commercial." And that, for that whatever reason, like that really bugged me.
Right.
Because I'm like, you're admitting that you're lying
Yeah, exactly.
at the end of the commercial. And I just felt like I did not like that at all. I don't eat at Subway anyway.
Yeah.
And I like Tom Brady. I think, but
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that just felt wrong. It felt a little yucky. Like, does that
It
mean
does,
all
because
your
we all know
commercials?
Tom Brady doesn't eat Subway, right?
Yeah. And so, but when he just comes out and says it, it's like, oh yeah, this is a commercial. You are lying to me about like everything, I guess.
Sure.
That's the way it made me feel. It's like, oh yeah, we're lying about everything we just said.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but that's kind of how it made. So I think you got to be careful, because that was probably somebody trying to be clever, and it didn't come off as clever. It came off as like, ooh, at least for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a good image. I don't think it's a good look for Tom Brady either. I think it kind of goes against his look too.
No, because he does in my mind, and I haven't seen the commercial, but when you're talking about this, it makes me think that there's a disconnect, right? Because I can never imagine Tom Brady doing a commercial for Subway, right? If you've ever, read any background on Tom Brady and his TB12 diet, everything, I mean, it's like extremely restrictive. So most people know he doesn't eat bread. So, I mean, Subway is essentially, everything Subway offers pretty much outside of the salad. I guess you can order a salad at Subway, but most people order a sandwich, everything's got gluten in it. So, and that's like off the table in the TB12 diet. So,
well, I remember when Dan Kennedy said one time back when like Jared was the spokesperson, he's like, that is the greatest ad campaign of all time, that they have figured out how to sell a loaf of bread as a diet product. Exactly. Like how they ever got away with that, I have no idea to this day. But they do. It's like, oh, it's fresh, so it must be good. A fresh loaf of bread, that must be.
And it worked for that guy. It doesn't work for. It's not the same though. Working for a guy like, I mean, you look at a guy like Tom Brady, who is, obviously an athlete. Jared is a guy that, previously was extremely overweight, and he lost a lot of weight by eating nothing but, I guess for quite a while, eating nothing but Subway, which is crazy.
So I'll share the video with you.
Okay.
I'll put it in the private comments on the old StreamYard. Actually, I'll put it in the main comments so it shows up in the threads from the live recording.
All right.
So it'll be in both places. So it's the last like 25 seconds of I think that's the full version there.
Right.
Oh, that's the 30 seconds. So yeah, it's the last 5 seconds or so.
Sure.
It just felt really weird. So anyway, for those of you who are listening, you can, again, you can find that link under the YouTube channel and also on the Facebook stream. The link is now there. But if you search Subway Tom Brady commercial, it's the only thing that comes up in YouTube.
Yeah.
Because when else
Tom
does he
Brady
advertise?
Right.
So yeah, I'd love your feedback on anybody that's listening on that. If I'm the only one that makes me cringe, or if that's if you also think it makes you cringe. I may post that on the old Facebook today too.
It's weird. Yeah, it's extremely weird when you say that he would be involved with the Subway commercial. It just feels like that's not his thing. So,
and that's a good example of like, yeah, he's a big name and bankable and that kind of stuff, but still got to be a product to message match.
Yeah,
and it feels like that was a fail.
Big time.
Sure was a nice check, and I'm actually really surprised that Tom Brady did it. I mean,
I am too. That to me, that's the most surprising thing, because he strikes me as the kind of person that is extremely.
He doesn't need the money.
No, he doesn't, because obviously, his wife probably makes more money than he does, but he strikes me as somebody that's very selective in the types of commercials that he does. They have to kind of fit his persona and his brand. And everybody knows about the TB12. I mean, he's written books about his diet. Like, it's so restrictive. It's crazy. I've actually read this book, and it's like, how does anybody stay on a diet like that? But it's
So if you look at the comments, first of all, everybody hates the star of the commercial is actually Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah.
So, like, they're all bashing her.
Right.
So one person's like, Rapinoe is bad enough, and everyone knows Brady would never eat that crap. Somebody else is like, this is the most expensive commercial ever when it comes to celebrities. Like,
Yeah.
So
no,
anyway,
you can't. I mean, to me, you can't fault Subway. I mean, heck, I mean, that to be able to land a spokesman like Tom Brady, I mean, good for them. But I'm just really surprised at Tom Brady doing something like that.
Yeah, there's several comments on YouTube like, does Tom Brady even eat Subway? Like, what?
No, he doesn't.
He
doesn't eat Subway.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think you have to be careful. Just because you can do something doesn't mean doing it is right.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, I think that's it. That's all we had on our random flight of persuasion. Just 3 things today. So, good stuff.
Next week we'll be back with some guests to join us. And Sean, it's been fun. Until then, you can find us on Persuasion over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify, you name it. And we'll see you guys next time around. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
All right. Good stuff.